As I continue to document the transformation of our species into something that would have only been considered to be science fiction at one time. However, as much as we have seen, many times science fiction is the prophet of truly our future. This video is about cyborgs. Now, in the past, we had thought and seen that this was the image. Well, think about it. I mean, how do you make an artificial human? And as fanciful as it was in the beginning, it has now turned out to be the most frightening future. Cyborgs are real, folks. Do not kid yourself. As you're going to see, it's more ingrained than you may have ever given serious thought to. In fact, what you will learn in this video probably is not going to be making you very happy. In this article, which I will leave the link, it was, how shall I say, it was an epiphany. Maybe you could say it was potentially a shift in consciousness. But the author of this article simply said, cyborgs are already here. In fact, if you're listening to my voice, you are already a cyborg. I kid you not. The reality of it is this, folks. It's real, it's happening, and it's happening to you. It's happening to your children, your grandchildren. And if you don't think that this has gotten totally bizarre, look again. When you begin to think how body modification, this is not. This is actually body enhancement. That ear is that man's ear, and it can actually hear. I'll leave the link. But think about this. If it has come to this, where is it now? We have reached a point called the singularity. Now, it's not what you may think in the terms of astrophysics. No, this is a different type of singularity. And let me read this. Singularity is a future period during which the pace of technology change will be so rapid, its impact so deep, that human life will be irreversibly transformed. Proponents of singularity postulate an intelligence explosion, where superintelligence and successive generations of increasingly powerful minds might occur very quickly and might not stop until the cognitive abilities greatly surpass that of any human being. I will submit we're already there. It is said by the year 2045 will be the year man becomes immortal. Don't laugh. Because you see, there's a duality of a process unfolding here. There is the integration of the human body to machine. But there's also something called biohacking, and that is the game changer. Meet Mr. Neil Harbinson. He is the first true cyborg. Neil was born colorblind. He was not going to live with that. He became the first human experiment. That is a real device. That device allows him to see not only in color, but in the infrared, and be able to see into the dark. Yes, it's real. Stop and think. What are the implications? Mind-boggling, is it not? But don't just think because if you have a device that has been attached and integrated into your body, that's not just the limits. It goes further than that, folks. The technology of integration of human beings absolutely volunteering, and then the subsequent technology for beginning to use in the medical field to enhance a person's life is incredible. Yes, we're talking here about the quantified body and the process and the progress that has been made. Again, it will boggle the imagination, but it's real. It's improving people's lives, and I see a time in the very near future where this will become quite commonplace. The fact of the matter is, the evolution, and this is what it is, plain and simple, evolution. In fact, you could call it evolution of probably the most purest kind, because this is the evolution of our own making, not of someone else. And though Hollywood does a great job of tantalizing our fancies of spectacles of what might be, what we don't realize is that it's already here. And it's changing everything. In fact, you're going to learn here that it's changing your DNA. Changing mine. In fact, it's got so bad, and it's progressed at such a quantum pace that it appears to be actually rewriting the DNA of almost every living thing. But we cannot deny, on the other hand, the possibility of what this can do to turn a human life, to make life of such quality and worth living, as opposed to being, how shall we say, disadvantaged. And we know the environment in itself, just in the environment of nature, it does, in fact, break down our DNA. But if we could do in the lab what Hollywood has shown in the movies, think about this. It changes everything. This, believe it or not, is called smart skin. Yes, it's already being done. Can you imagine having an external biosuit on our biosuit, which is our body? Imagine what it could do. I mean, the possibilities are absolutely endless. And this is happening. It's got to the point where many people have decided that they're not going to wait for a manufacturer. They're going to go ahead and do it themselves. And have they made breakthroughs? This is technology to where now an individual human can completely be interfaced, integrated into a machine. And if it can enhance the body's performance, who is anyone to say that this is not good, that this is not positive? How do we judge these things? The fact of the matter is, when you think about biometrics, if you are driving a car, today it's getting to the point where you get any state, federal issue ID, it's going to have a biometric marker to it. So in essence, you have already been reduced to nothing more than a digital footprint. But if we can convert that same technology and now begin to make superbodies, think about that. It could change everything for the good and maybe not for so good. It is a fact. There are companies that are advancing it much further. And it's the military who is actually doing the beta test in many of this. When you think about it, as I said to you before, your DNA is being added. Probably, I would say with those listening, if we just looked on a nominal statistic value, I would say that probably we've reached now 7 out of 10. And the goal is to get 10 out of 10. This is not fake. This is real. And if you look at mankind's past, it would be very evident that this man would have been considered a god. Think about that. He's certainly displaying God-like powers, is he not? I think as you step back and you examine what's happened, believe it or not, we have formed our own collective, our species. This is a law enforcement officer. As you can see, it's being videotaped, documented. This man is being injected with a drug. You can research it. I'll leave a link for you on this one, where he's actually being injected to where he will be able to see in the dark with no mechanical device. This is real. When we can begin to transform optic nerves into digital circuitry, I propose that this is already synthetic DNA. You're taking a natural DNA and you're synthesizing it. It's completing the circuit. Yes, Bill Gates wrote a book called Business at the Speed of Thought. It's here. Because what we've done now is that it's gotten so granular that the common individual can now become their own biohackers. Genetic engineering and the basics of molecule biology has advanced so far in the evolution now that it has pulling, in our case, our species, to some place where I don't even think we realized we were going. The evolution of biohacking is actually, the revolution has already begun. You can't turn it back. None of us can. I dare say the majority don't want it to. Because again, we're talking about body enhancements. Now, if you can do a body enhancement in such a manner that gives you life extension and gives you the ability to begin to have optimal performance, and that goes beyond what would be considered the prime points of a human being's life in their teens, 20s, 30s, that you can now carry this forward to 70, 80, 110, 150, 200 years. That's the goal here. And guess what? There is someone who is alive today that will most live to be 500 years old, as long as the earth doesn't get blown up. But when you begin to understand how the process is that you individually can begin to hack your own body, hack your own DNA. Think about this. I mean, talk about boutique labs. Set up your own. Because biohacking has now become an art and a science. And you can see it's the optimizing of your body, mind, and performance with thinking. Remember what we talked about, the singularity? But if you can hack yourself, why not? I mean, seriously, who could come against that? What could be a moral or ethical argument that would come against each of us being able to hack ourselves? I mean, seriously. If your child is born with a genetic defect, could you imagine having the ability? Now, I know this sounds far out, but it's not. It really is not. The science has gotten down to the fact where we know these things. And when you begin to see the science now that may be a pseudoscience, but never discount what pseudosciences have added to the legitimacy of science. So you may have questions. Well, guess what? They got the answers. And it's not that difficult. And can we say that this biohacking, again, a bad thing, a good thing? Is it time to freak out? I don't know. I'm not sure if any of us really can make a determination or a decision. It's too early in the process. What we can do is begin to look at what is taking place and the information that is available. Now, a lot of this is proprietary intellectual property. Companies are spending billions of dollars. Venture capitalists are spending tens of billions of dollars in companies that are doing exactly this. Yes, this is an evolution, but I will leave you with this thought. How do you define a revolution? And how does that coincide with the evolution? Be kind to one another.